Hey everyone, welcome back. It's getting cooler out there. It's getting near my favourite month of the year, October, when it comes to watching films anyway. So I'm going to do a bit of a horror special, sort of Halloween special, I suppose. This video, I must say, has been inspired. I watched a video by a guy called Bob's Blu-rays. So I've been checking out his channel recently. Really good channel. He found this video, I think he said, off of somebody else who probably found it off someone else, and you know how it goes. But I thought it was a really good idea. So the idea behind this video is you essentially pick out some of your favourite horror movies, well, this is what I've done anyway, that spell out, if you stack them up, the first initial of the title of each film stacks up to spell out the word Halloween. So you need a title beginning with H, obviously, title beginning with A, and so on and so on and so on. So yeah, this is my list of movies that I like that are Halloween themed. So before we start, it's worth mentioning the usual things apply. You know, some of these films people are going to like, some are not going to like. It's just my list. And yeah, these are not necessarily always my favourites. Like, for example, H, the obvious one, or the elephant in the room to be picking there would be Halloween. I didn't want to go too obvious with that one, so I picked something else for my H. But yeah, so this is just a bit of fun. And I'd love to see if you guys want to do anything similar to this that are watching, or give me your list down below in the comments if you haven't got a channel. It'd be really fun to hear your results as well. So starting off with the letter H, first one I picked out of my collection of horrors would be 2020's Host. So yeah, this is a second sight release. I really enjoyed this film. I hadn't seen it when it first came out. I did catch it a couple of years later, I think. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. It's really short as well, so it's like under an hour, I think, about 57 minutes, 58 minutes, something like that. So if you're going to do these in like, you're essentially picking out yourself a bit of a playlist here. So if you were going to try and binge these in a sort of a week or so, maybe a nice short one to get you started isn't a bad idea either. But yeah, I'll quickly read out, a bit of a blurb on the back there, so you guys have got an idea of what this one's about if you don't already. So this one is about 6 friends who hire a medium to hold a seance via Zoom during the 2020 lockdown. Some take it more seriously than others, however, and when a prank backfires, they inadvertently anger a demonic spirit. So what I would say, if anyone watching this is a fan of the sort of original, I'd say at least, Paranormal Activity, which I am a big fan of. It's not exactly the same as this, but it follows the similar sort of feel to this, where it's kind of in reality all filmed on a Zoom screen. Kind of tense, cranks up the tension nicely in that hour, and a few kind of good scares in there as well. So first pick, Host. So my second title in this list, so beginning with the letter A, is going to be a film which I've mentioned before on the channel, that I quite enjoyed this one. Bit of a surprise for me. I thought this was going to be a bit of a throwaway horror when I first watched it, but surprised how much I enjoyed it. And that is a film As Above, So Below. So this one was released, I think, in 2014, if I'm not mistaken. And this one basically, again, I'll read you the blurb on the back there so you've got an understanding of what it's about. So when a team of explorers venture into the catacombs that lie beneath the streets of Paris, they uncover the dark secret that lies within the city of the dead. So yeah, this group of explorers go under the streets of Paris into the catacombs. It's all dark and dingy, a bit claustrophobic. So if you like those type of movies, it should tick a few boxes for you. I was really surprised by this. I'm not going to say any more than what's on the back there, just so I don't want to spoil it for anyone if you haven't seen it. But that is my choice for the letter A. As Above, So Below. So my first choice of the letter L, spelling out Halloween here, is a film that, again, it was notoriously hard to find this film for quite some time until Second Sight put it out on a release, and that is the really good Lake Mungo. So yeah, if you haven't seen this one, again, it's a bit of a kind of almost like a documentary style film. Don't let that put you off if you're kind of not a fan of documentaries. It basically takes a lot of hand camcorder footage and stuff like that you're looking at a lot of the time. Really good film. Again, I don't want to spoil it. I'll try and read you out a bit of a blurb that won't give too much away, but it has got some really nice sort of twists and turns in here. So bear with me, I'll just read out to you what the actual blurb of this one is. So strange things start happening after a girl is found drowned in a lake. So that doesn't give much away at all, does it? But yeah, Really good. Strongly recommend if you like your kind of creepy, paranormal, supernatural type movies. Watch this one. Watch it all the way through as well, because there is a turning point in here where you start to think you know what's going on, and arguably you might think, no, nah, I'm not buying that. I'm not interested. Stick with it because you should be pleasantly surprised. So that is 2008's Lake Mungo. So the second L in my Halloween list in here is a film that's, I would class this as a horror based on sort of how it goes towards the end of the film in the third act. It is a bit of a mixed genre film, this one, so a lot of people may not include it as a full horror film, but to be fair, if you've just watched the first few recommendations there, you probably want a little break from horror because those things would have sorted you out by now. But yeah, so if you want to take the pressure off slightly, at least a little bit at the start, then check out this next one, which directed by Edgar Wright of Baby Driver, Hot Fuzz, all those great classics. Last Night in Soho. Now, I've mentioned this a few times on my channel before now. I was really impressed by this. I had no idea what it was about going in. I'd probably say it's the best way to do it as well if you're interested in it. Go in knowing as little as possible. I'll tell you again a bit about the blurb on the back there so you can get a rough idea of what you're in for, but without spoiling too much, hopefully. But yeah, this film is shot incredibly. Like the lighting on this, the direction on this, the colours he uses. Yeah, just the whole story. It's really kind of like an original story as well. I mean, there's parts of it that have been done before, but a lot of this is really original, which I really enjoyed. And it's one of those ones that, again, you think you've got what's going on, or at least I did. About 2/3 of the way through, I was thinking this is pretty predictable. I know what's going on here. And then, yeah, you might be surprised towards the end. So, an aspiring fashion designer is mysteriously able to enter the 1960s when she encounters a dazzling wannabe singer. But the glamour is not all that it appears to be, and the dreams of the past start to crack and splinter into something darker. So, that to me doesn't really sell it. Like, if I hadn't seen this film, that blurb wouldn't have really sold it to me, especially not as anything related to horror in whatsoever. Not into like fashion designs, that sort of thing, as it kicks off. And this is where I actually started watching this film originally and turned it off after I saw this girl was like a fashion designer. Just thought it wasn't going to be for me. Probably my favourite film of 2021. So yeah, stick with it, give it a go, watch it to the end. Really good, highly recommend. Last Night in Soho from 2021. Okay, so we're on to the letter O. So yeah, slim pickings a little bit for the letter O in my horror collection, but I feel like I've got a bit of a classic here, a bit of a good one. So this one I haven't seen in a long time, and I do need to rewatch. Probably do it this week, Halloween, actually, based on doing this video. But I remember it being really good when it first came out, and that is Nicole Kidman in The Others. So yeah, again, vague memory of this one, but I remember enjoying it. It's one of those kind of like twisty turny ones, I think. So again, I'll pull up the blurb here so you can get a rough idea if you've never seen it or not ventured into it so far. So a woman who lives in her darkened old family house with her two photosensitive children becomes convinced that the home is haunted. So yeah, I do remember a bit of this. She's basically got these couple of kids and she tries to keep them out of direct sunlight because their skin's quite sensitive to the light. But yeah, keep hearing all these noises and weird things going on around the house. Really spooky, really atmospheric. Yeah, really enjoyable. Again, don't want to say too much because I don't want to give too much away. But that is my choice for the Halloween list here, which is The Others from 2001. Okay, so we're on to the letter W. So again, a bit of a slim pickings for the letter W for me, but I have to hit one of my, I can't say it's my favourite franchises. I do enjoy it a lot, a bit of a guilty pleasure franchise, and that is the one that kicked it off and started it all, the original Wrong Turn movie. So yeah, I used to be a big fan of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and obviously this main lead here, she was one of the main characters in there towards the sort of mid-seasons. Yeah, I just love how like gory and gruesome this film is, and how it doesn't hold back. It just it just goes for it. Had this on DVD a long time. Really enjoyed watching this a lot, and yeah, had to get the import of this one because I don't think it's commonly available in the UK yet. But yeah, really good film. Again, I'll just read you a bit of the blurb out there in case you're fresh to it, to give you a flavour of what it's all about. So Chris and a group of friends are left stranded deep in the middle of the woods after their cars collide. As they venture deeper into the woods, they face an uncertain and blood-curdling fate. Yeah, fantastic. So it's like we're one of these like teen movies almost. So these couple of like cars of teenagers basically have an accident, head off into the woods to try and find some help. Yeah, and then they meet something. I'm sure most people would have known now, but you can always see on the back cover there. They meet some strangers, let's say, in the woods. But yeah, really gory, really gruesome. If you like that type of film, this is definitely for you. That is the original Wrong Turn from 2003. Okay, so our first E of the Halloween title word here. Yeah, I really enjoy this film. Again, it's another one that I haven't seen in a long time, so I do need to rewatch this one myself. I remember really enjoying it. It is quite mean-spirited, this film. I know a lot of you guys who, either have channels have said before that you don't quite enjoy many mean-spirited movies. I've got a bit of a soft spot for them. I think that makes me a bit of a weirdo, but it is what it is. This one says it's quite more of a thriller, but I still class this as a horror if you think about the scenario these people are in. So yeah, this one is Eden Lake. So yeah, I really enjoyed this one. As I say, it does need a rewatch from me. I'll just give you the lowdown of what it's all about, so you've got a bit of a flavour of what happens in this movie. So this one is refusing to let anyone spoil their romantic weekend break. A young couple confront a gang of loutish youths with terrifyingly brutal consequences. So again, really gory, really kind of like, it doesn't really cut away too often. It shows quite a lot of gruesome stuff from memory. Just this kind of like, horrendous scenario which you wouldn't want to be in, where you're just trying to have, a nice peaceful weekend away, and a bunch of yous just try and like ruin your whole weekend, end up like getting in some right conflict there. Yeah, I really enjoy it. So that is Eden Lake from 2008. All right, we're getting towards the end now, so a couple more to go. So the second E on my list is going to be a classic, one of the ones I started watching. One of these way too young to watch ones. Me and my mates used to watch this all the time. Thought it was brilliant. Still to this day, I love it. Yeah, that is the movie Evil Dead 2. So yeah, I'm sure everyone pretty much knows about these if I haven't seen them already. But this one is kind of a remake of the first one to some extent. The first Evil Dead was a bit more serious and a bit more kind of darker toned slightly. This one blends comedy and horror to perfection. But yeah, this one here, definitely my favourite of the whole bunch. I know it's a lot of people's favourites. Again, I'm just going to pull up the blurb here just to give you a rough idea. If you haven't seen it for any weird reason or forgotten all about it. So a lone survivor on an onslaught of flesh-possessing spirits holds up in a cabin with a group of strangers while the demons continue their attack. There you go. So that is the Evil Dead 2 from 1987. Okay, so the last one on my list of Halloween titles, spelling out the word Halloween. Now, this one, you'll have to give me a little bit of grace on this one. You could argue this is a cheat and this should be under the letter A, but I always file it under the letter N, and you'll see why. So this one is going to be, I'm referring to the original A Nightmare on Elm Street. I'm going to count this as an N just because it was my favourite in that sort of letter of the alphabet on my collection when I was going through the shelves. So yeah, really enjoyed this one. I do like most of these ones, but I do like the first one's just got that something special about it for me. It was one of those ones growing up that you just had to have. You needed to see. It was like one of those ones. Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, Evil Dead. These were all the ones we had to try and get our hands on that were famously, really good horror movies. So again, let me put up the blurb here, and then we'll just go through with you what this one's about, in case you've never heard of it. I don't think anyone out there has never heard of it. Teenager Nancy Thompson must uncover the dark truth concealed by her parents after she and her friends become targets of the spirit of a serial killer with a bladed glove in their dreams, in which if they die, it kills them in real life. There you go. So, what more can you ask for? So there's a whole bunch of these, including the remake. But the first one for me is definitely the one that is going on my list here. So yeah, that is A Nightmare on Elm Street from 1984. So there we go. That is my choices of spelling out the word Halloween through a selection of titles in my collection. But as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you again next time.